You think you know Moses. You know the Red Sea, the Ten Commandments, the burning bush. He is arguably the most iconic figure in the Old Testament. But what if I told you a critical piece of his story, a part that could redefine your understanding of God's purpose, has been almost entirely erased? What if Moses had sons, 2 of them, whose names practically vanish from the Bible's epic narrative? Why? Why are Gershom and Eliezer, the direct descendants of the man who literally spoke with God face to face, practically forgotten? This isn't an oversight. This isn't a footnote. This is a profound mystery, and it might just hold the key to understanding your own seemingly hidden purpose. Stick with me, because what we're about to uncover isn't just a historical oddity. It is a divine revelation about how God truly works, and it will challenge everything you think you know about success and significance. Invisible. Like your efforts, your dedication, your quiet faithfulness goes unnoticed. This story is for you. This story will tell you why you matter, even when the world doesn't see it. Let's dive in. This isn't just about Moses' sons. This is about Dantato. Are you ready to discover the forgotten truth? If you want to understand the raw, human side of Moses, look no further than the name of his first son, Gershom. It is not a celebratory name. It is a wound, a confession, a deep cry from a man in exile. Exodus 2:22 tells us, "She gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Gershom, saying, I have become a foreigner in a foreign land, a foreigner, a sojourner." This isn't just a name, it is a direct window into Moses' soul. Imagine him, raised in the opulence of Pharaoh's palace, power, privilege, the finest education. Then, he is a fugitive, a murderer, running for his life into the barren, unforgiving wilderness of Midian. He goes from princely robes to shepherd's rags, from commanding armies to tending sheep, from palaces to tents. And then, a son is born. And what does he name him? Stranger here. Outsider. This name, Gershom, was a constant, daily reminder of his lost identity, his shattered past, his deep sense of not belonging. It wasn't just his son's name, it was his own internal monologue. I am an alien, I am displaced, I am lost. Have you ever felt like that? Like you are in a season where nothing feels right? Where you're caught between who you were and who you are becoming? Where you feel out of place, even in your own skin? Moses knew that feeling intimately. He carried that feeling in the name of his son. It reminds us that even God's chosen leaders, the ones we put on pedestals, grapple with deep internal struggles, with feelings of displacement and loss. So, what name would you give a child born in John your Chandiate season of exile? What deep truth about your own journey would that name reveal? Could embracing your foreigner moments be the very path to your true calling? Then came Eliezer. The name of Moses' second son is a direct counterpoint to Gershom, and it speaks volumes about where Moses' hope truly lay. Exodus 18:4 reveals, "The other was named Eliezer, for he said, My father's God was my helper. He saved me from the sword of Pharaoh." Eliezer, my God is my help. This isn't just a personal testimony, it is a declaration of divine intervention. Moses had fled Egypt because he'd killed an Egyptian. Pharaoh certainly sought his life. He was on the run, a marked man, yet he survived. He found refuge. Every time he called his son's name, he was proclaiming God's faithfulness. He was reminding himself, and anyone who would listen, that even in the wilderness, even in the shadows of exile, God was actively protecting him. God was his unseen shield. God was his constant deliverer. We talk about God moments, don't we? Those times when you look back and realize only God could have pulled you through. Only God could have opened that door, closed that one, provided that unexpected resource, or brought that person into your life. Eliezer is Moses's God moment, etched forever into his family lineage. What about you? When has God been on your side, Eliezer? When did his unseen hand step in and rescue you from a pharaoh? In your life, taunt a crushing debt, a devastating illness, a broken relationship, a lost job. Can you point to a moment where you can declare with absolute certainty, "My God was my helper"? This name isn't just a relic of ancient history. It is an invitation to remember, to declare, and to trust that the same God who protected Moses then is actively protecting you now. How often do we forget to name our blessings? How often do we fail to acknowledge the unseen rescue? What if we started living with the Eliezer mindset, constantly looking for and celebrating God's help in every step of our journey? Will you choose to see his hand in your life today? Now, here is where the story takes a truly shocking turn, a moment so bizarre, so unsettling, it is often skimmed over. As Moses is finally on his way back to Egypt, divinely appointed to free his people, God decrees to kill him bat. Yes, you heard that right. God was about to kill his chosen leader. Exodus 4:24-26 reads, "At a lodging place on the way, the Lord met Moses and was about to kill him. But Zipporah took a flint knife, cut off her son's foreskin, and touched Moses' feet with it. 'Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me,' she said. So the Lord let him alone." What in the world just happened? This isn't a verse you'd frame for your wall, is it? This verse will split your soul in two. The answer lies in the covenant of circumcision, a sacred command given to Abraham, marking God's chosen people. Moses, the very man chosen to renew this covenant with Israel, had neglected to circumcise his own son. It was a profound act of disobedience, a disregard for God's foundational command. God's holiness is absolute. His covenant demands obedience, even from his greatest prophets. And in that terrifying moment, Zipporah, Moses' wife, saves him. Not Moses himself, not some angelic intervention. His wife. She understands the gravity. She acts decisively. A stark, visceral, and almost brutal act, restoring the covenant. This moment profoundly impacts Moses, and it highlights a crucial truth. Even the most powerful leaders, the ones closest to God, are accountable. Their families, their partners, often play unseen, yet absolutely vital, roles in upholding their divine assignments. Think about the hidden sacrifices, the quiet obedience, the uncelebrated support that fuels great movements and ministries. Zipporah wasn't the one speaking to Pharaoh, but her swift, bloody act ensured Moses' could speak to Pharaoh. Are we too quick to dismiss the support roles, the ones behind the scenes? Do we recognize the spiritual weight carried by those who enable others to fulfill their callings? What unseen act of obedience, what quiet sacrifice is enabling your mission, or the mission of someone you support? This moment challenges us to honor the unsung heroes, the Zipporahs of our lives, whose faithful, often painful, acts ensure the work of God goes forward. After the terrifying incident at the inn, Gershom and Eliezer simply vanish from the narrative of the Exodus. Moses returns to Egypt, confronts Pharaoh, parts the Red Sea, receives the 10 Commandments on Sinai, leads millions through the desert, and his sons, nothing. They are not mentioned. They don't appear by the Red Sea. They aren't on Mount Sinai. They are absent from the entire monumental, world-changing epic. Why? It is a silence that screams. Some scholars believe Zipporah, after the near, fatal encounter, took the boys back to her father Jethro in Midian, to keep them safe from the escalating dangers of Moses' mission. And this makes sense. The journey was perilous. Pharaoh's wrath was relentless. The desert was unforgiving. As a father, Moses would want to protect his children. But this leads to a powerful question. Do some callings demand such a singular focus that even family must step back for a time? Does God sometimes require a radical separation to fulfill a radical purpose? Think about the weight of that decision for Moses. To lead a nation, he had to entrust his family's safety to others. He had to walk a path that, for a time, he walked alone. Spiritually speaking, this absence isn't a slight. It's a profound illustration of the singular, unwavering focus required for God's grand design. It also sets up a crucial contrast. While Aaron's sons would later be explicitly called to the priesthood, Moses' sons remained in the background. It emphasizes that God's calling isn't inherited, it is sovereignly given. Your purpose isn't automatically passed down like an inheritance. It is individually assigned by the hand of God. Have you ever felt like you are missing out on the main event while others are in the spotlight? Does your role feel insignificant compared to someone else's big calling? The story of Moses' disappearing sons reminds us that not everyone is called to the front lines. Sometimes the most crucial roles are played in the quiet, hidden spaces where God is preparing you for a purpose you cannot yet see. What if your absence from the spotlight is precisely where God is doing his deepest work in you? So, where were Gershom and Eliezer during the entire Exodus? The Bible gives us a clue in Exodus 18. After the Israelites had escaped Egypt, after the Red Sea, after Sinai, Moses' father-in-law Jethro brings them to him in the wilderness. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, together with Moses' sons and wife, came to him in the wilderness where he was camped near the mountain of God. Exodus 18-5. This reunion confirms their absence. They were indeed with Jethro. It tells us that for a significant, pivotal chunk of biblical history, Moses was fulfilling his world-altering mission without his family by his side. They were safe, cared for, but not directly involved in the epic drama of liberation. This paints a picture of a leader whose devotion to God's call was so absolute that it required personal sacrifice, even separation from those he loved most. But here's the crucial part. After this reunion, they fade again. We hear little more of them, even as Aaron's sons step into prominent priestly roles. This isn't a commentary on their worth or their potential. It is a powerful statement about God's design for every individual. Not everyone is called to public prominence. Not everyone is meant to lead nations or part seas. Some are called to roles that are equally vital, equally God-ordained, but lived out in quiet faithfulness behind the scenes. Think about the intricate mechanisms of a clock. You see the hands moving, but do you ever see the tiny gears, springs, and levers inside that enable that movement? Those unseen parts are absolutely essential. Without them, the clock would stop. Gershom and Eliezer are like those unseen gears in God's grand design. Their silent presence, their quiet lives, speak volumes about the beauty of humble service. Do you struggle with the world's definition of success? Do you compare your quiet faithfulness to someone else's loud accomplishments? This story challenges that. It reminds us that God's economy of purpose is radically different from the world's. He doesn't measure impact by accolades or visibility. He measures it by faithfulness, by obedience, by a heart surrendered to his unique, perfect plan for you. What if your greatest contribution to God's kingdom isn't meant for a stadium, but for a single life, a quiet conversation, a consistent prayer, a hidden act of kindness? But here is another unsettling twist in the story of Moses' lineage. It gets even more complex, even more challenging. Judges 18:30 tells us something truly shocking. And the children of Dan set up the graven image, and Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, He and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land. Wait, Manasseh? Some ancient texts and traditions substitute Moses for Manasseh, likely to soften the blow, to distance the great prophet from such a shameful lineage. But the strong implication, supported by scholarly consensus, is that this Jonathan, a priest of an idolatrous shrine, was the grandson of Moses, the son of Gershom. Imagine that, the grandson of Moses, the man who brought the 10 Commandments down from Sinai, the very commandments forbidding idolatry, is now serving a pagan idol. This isn't just a historical footnote, it is a gut punch. It's a stark, painful reminder that spiritual heritage is not a guarantee of personal righteousness. Being born into a lineage of faith, even the most profound one, does not automatically mean you will walk in that faith. It is a choice, a daily intentional choice. Jonathan chose idolatry over the living God. He traded the legacy of the Red Sea and Mount Sinai for a carved image. This serves as a powerful, uncomfortable truth for us today. Are you simply coasting on the faith of your parents, your grandparents, your spiritual mentors? Or have you made your faith your sindon sound? Have you truly chosen to walk in God's ways? Or are you just going through the motions, assuming your heritage will carry you? The story of Jonathan shouts a warning. Your faith must be personal. It must be lived. It must be chosen every single day, regardless of your family tree. Where are you in your spiritual journey? Are you actively choosing to walk in the legacy of faith passed down to you? Or are you at a crossroads, needing to make a definitive choice for the God who saved your ancestors and desires to save and guide? Doubt. This isn't about guilt, it is about genuine discipleship. What choice will make today? So, what happened to Moses' sons? They didn't lead armies. They didn't part seas. They didn't receive God's law on a mountain. Their names aren't heralded throughout history like their Uncle Aaron's descendants, who became the priests. But their story, their quiet, almost invisible role, is precisely what makes them so profound for Sotis. They challenge our modern obsession with the spotlight. They dismantle the world's definition of success. In God's kingdom, the last are often first. The unnoticed are often deeply valued. The quiet acts of faithfulness, the obedience in the shadows, these are the currency of heaven. Think about your own life. Have you ever felt like your contribution is too small? That your quiet dedication, your consistent prayers, your unseen acts of service go unappreciated? Perhaps you are not leading a mega church. Perhaps you are not a famous missionary. Perhaps your platform is your family, your workplace, your small community. But in God's economy, those quiet, faithful moments are woven into the very fabric of eternity. Your quiet obedience, your unwavering faith, your willingness to serve where God has placed you, whether seen or unseen, echoes through the corridors of heaven. You are seen. You are valued. Your life, your unique purpose, is deeply treasured by God. The story of Gershom and Eliezer reminds us that greatness in God's kingdom is not defined by fame, but by faithfulness. It is not about the size of your platform, but the posture of your heart. It is not about the applause of men, but the approval of God. So, what purpose is God calling Satutat to fulfill? Is it a loud, visible calling, or a quiet, foundational one? Every act of obedience, every quiet prayer, every moment of faithfulness sown in hidden places, reverberates through eternity. You are not forgotten by God. You are known. You are loved, and your life has a purpose that only Tao can fulfill. Will you embrace the profound significance of your unique, God-given role today? Whether in the spotlight or in the shadows,